Hi, Seth David here with Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing you another webcast. Today we're talking about accounting for donated inventory. And if you read the write-up, then you're already probably all jazzed up and excited about accounting for donated inventory. If you haven't read the write-up, let me be the one to get you excited about accounting for donated inventory. And the reason it's so exciting is, as I explained, if you watched my sort of high-def introduction video to this, and all kidding aside, I like to kid around and have fun, but all kidding aside, as I mentioned, it's important to me and I love to see it when clients are donating their inventory, donating their time, when people are just generally giving back. Because if you have a business, like I have a business, and you've done well, you've been successful, you have all the nice material things in life, you're not wanting for anything, you have food, a roof over your head, all that stuff, then I think it's important that we give back. I think it's important that we take time out of our day and give of ourselves to help others, because I know that it would be false at best if I told people that I did this myself, that I, on my own, just started a business and it took off and became very successful. Not the case. I had a lot of help from a lot of people along the way. A lot of people supported me. A lot of people stuck by me. There were a lot of naysayers along the way, and believe it or not, they helped me too, because they were the ones who gave me the fuel for the fire that I lit that got me going to want to go out there and prove them wrong. And I did. I proved them all wrong. So it's important to me to see people giving back. And that's what this webcast is really all about. And then I'm going to take it a step further and get past the philosophical side of it in a minute and talk to you about how to do the accounting for it when you're using QuickBooks. And just bear in mind, if you're using something other than QuickBooks, the concept is the same. You just have to figure out how it applies in your particular software. But generically, it's going to be the same thing. If you read the write-up in the QuickBooks blog already, then you have an understanding of what I'm about to talk about. And when I say that when we donate inventory, we essentially sell it for zero. And what that means is I have an invoice. I'm going to record an invoice in QuickBooks or any accounting software that I have. And when I record an invoice for the sale of a product, then what happens is a few things. I recognize a sale. If I'm selling it for a value, then I have a receivable, an amount that a customer owes me. But more importantly, for the purposes of this discussion, I have inventory that I'm transferring off the balance sheet out of the inventory account and into the cost of goods sold account. And then I have one more step to take, which is to take it out of the cost of goods sold and record it as donated inventory, as charitable contributions, whatever name we give it on our books. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now in QuickBooks, so pay attention. I'm going to share my screen, enlarge it for you. And by the way, these links are live. If you're interested, we have full-length tutorials just like this, but longer and packed with lots more information right in our Learning Center. If you're watching this other than on YouTube, if you're watching this the live version, in YouTube there's a link to launch the live version in your Flash player. Then these links will be live and you'll be able to access everything that's linked here. So exciting. So exciting. So now we're going to share the computer screen with you. And let's go ahead and share it. Now we're going to look at a QuickBooks file, sample Carl's Computer Shop. We sell computer parts. And the first thing we want to do is record an invoice. But I'm going to keep it a little simple here for this purpose. And I'm going to deal with an invoice that's already been recorded, because I have other webcasts that teach you how to record an invoice. And so what I'm going to do with that in mind is I'm going to skip it to the step in between, because let's say I've recorded the invoice, and now I want to go back, and just to keep it simple, especially if you're having trouble kind of following how this works, then you may want to record the invoice initially as if you were selling it to a customer, which means you put the sales price, everything goes in there. Just forget about the fact that the inventory is being donated for a minute. Then we can go back and basically chisel the invoice down such that we're looking at a donated inventory situation rather than a sold inventory situation. So we're going to go to our reports menu. We're going to come down here to Custom Transaction Detail Report. And presumably I booked the invoice in the current month, so we'll leave that default setting there. I go to my Filters tab, and I want to filter for a transaction type called an invoice. And once I do that, I can click OK, and it shows me this month's invoices. Now let's say that my invoice representing the inventory that I'm about to donate is this first one here. You'll see that I've sold a product. I've actually sold it for $1,506.84. Now notice the accounts here. Let me get rid of some of the ones we don't need. Notice the accounts here. I sold it for $1506.84. That's my receivable. My total receivable, the total amount the customer owes me for this transaction is $1506.84. What's happening now? I have income. I'm running it through my merchandise income account. I've sold $1,392 worth. The difference is actually down here, which is the $114.84, and that's our sales tax. Now, what happens in between is what we want to focus on, which is here's the cost. This is what it cost me. My inventory asset is being reduced by $896. Assets are reduced by credits. And my cost of goods sold is being increased by that $896. So we have two things to do here. First, I have to zero out the sale because we're donating the inventory. We're selling it for zero. So let's do that. I'm going to double click it. And I'm just going to say that the price each here is zero. And I might even put in the description here, donated inventory. And you can put the donee as the customer. You can set them up as a customer. They're just a special type of customer in which you're donating inventory and not selling it. So I zero out my invoice and I put save and close. Now this happens to be one that was paid, so just ignore that. And now QuickBooks wants me to buy something. No. So now going back to the report, what happens here, as you can see, is the sales zeroed out. There's no longer an accounts receivable and there's no longer merchandise. However, the cost still happens. I've still transferred the inventory out and I've still recognized the cost of goods sold. So I've got one more thing to do. And the important thing here is to understand that the $896 is the amount, it's the value of what I've donated. It's the lower of cost or market. And in this case, it's always going to be cost is lower than market because market is what I sell it for. So now we just have to book a journal entry because I want to get this out of cost of goods sold and into charitable contributions. So let's go to company and we're going to make a general journal entry. Make general journal entries. I click OK. We reduce this so I can kind of have them side by side here so you can see what I'm doing. The main thing I need to see is that my number is going to be this 896. So let's put that in. The other thing is the date, 12/2/13. Should be the same date, so it all kind of lines up. And now what I'm going to do is I want to reduce my cost of goods sold. That's going to be my credit. And I'm increasing my charitable contributions. So that's going to be my debit. And I may want to just put a memo in here saying donated inventory on invoice number 2007-101. Save and close. And that's how you do it. Now it's not going to show up here because remember this is filtered just for invoices. So I would need to see journal entries in order for that to show up here. So let me add that in. Choose multiple transaction types. Filters just so you can see. We'll add journal into the mix. So there it is. There's my journal entry coming up with my memo. And that, my friends, is how an invoice becomes donated inventory. As usual, I hope you've enjoyed the show. And I look forward to bringing you more great webcasts on QuickBooks and Excel and any of the other great stuff that we teach. I do hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. And please visit our Learning Center at www.nerdenterprises.com/learning.php and download a full-length class. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback on them. Have an absolutely fantastic day.